Hello, everybody, and welcome to South's Virtual Curriculum Night. I tell you what, we love doing this virtual curriculum night, and if you are like me and you're an introvert, this is the parent engagement that you love. You can do this at home. You can just sit there in your PJs, you can make dinner, whatever you would like to do, and this is for you. You don't have to stand around people and be awkward. It's great. So hanging out at home, I'd love to see all of your setups that you have. So just as a reminder for you, one of the giveaways that we're going to do at the very end is a random draw from everybody who is able to post on social media, just a little background picture, a group selfie picture or something of whatever you're doing watching Curriculum Night. And so if you can do that, post it on Facebook or on Twitter, wherever you'd like. Make sure you tag Sydney Rader so I can find it easily. We'll do a random draw for one of the prizes, and I'll show you that a little bit later on. Before we get started, I hope everybody has their Play at Home guide. You're going to need that tonight. We got a lot of really cool stuff in there. We have the order of events, or our little lineup that we're going to follow pretty closely here. Got a couple other things that we're going to go through. And then also, this is pretty cool. Check this out. Our TV guide, fall preview, has all sorts of these wonderful shows. The plots were created with AI with all of our staff members as guest appearance people in there. So we're kind of going with the TV guide, TV show kind of a vibe here. If you're old school like me, you probably remember TGIF on ABC on Friday nights and all the shows that they had. So that's kind of how we went with it. So we're going to get started here very quickly. And actually, our very first guest we have is going to be coming up here in just a second. We have Miss Kayla Cole, who's a newcomer at South and also for Curriculum Night. So Miss Cole, come on up here. And with our little TV thing, we're going to change the background. So your favorite show is Friends. So
hi, everybody.
Here we are at the Central Perk Cafe. I was not a Friends watcher.
No.
I wasn't. I never really got into Friends. No.
You got to start it back over. I think I've watched it like 10 times.
You did? Yeah, it's one of those shows that you can watch about that. So I didn't really watch it, but obviously this is the background. So we're hanging out in the coffee shop, just having a little chat.
Okay.
About some
there
fun
we go.
stuff.
I need my coffee.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Okay, so what we're going to talk about is some of the things that you do here with us at South, and one of the things is called PBIS, and so that's kind of our school-wide behavior intervention and support systems that we have. Has a lot to do with just kind of handling emotions, especially at our level. We have to teach them that. And so do you want to talk a little bit about, like in guidance, kind of some of the big things that you touch on in there?
Well, we kind of touch on both social and emotional learning, but also behavioral learning, and just kind of recognizing that there are a lot of people around us, and this is what's expected and what's not expected. We've also touched on kind of recognizing emotions and being able to put a name to what you're feeling before you act in a way that you don't really, that's probably not comfortable or that might affect others. And so those are what we've touched on in guidance class.
Yeah.
And then trying to reiterate that throughout the classroom, I guess.
Yeah. And one of the big ways that we're doing that, something new for us this year, is called a daily check-in system. And so you're going to be getting a lot of reports here pretty soon. So we have our first report that's going to go home over parent-teacher conferences, but let's explain that first. So every morning when your student comes in, they get on an iPad, they find their name, and then what they do is they check in, and they tell us basically how they're feeling. And so they pick out of 6 choices of emotions, and then they send that off. And then the teacher's able to see that. So it's super powerful because we know now what our kids are coming in, because sometimes they just don't explain that. Just like what you talked about teaching and guidance, they just don't understand how to communicate how they're feeling, whether they're sad, whether they're tired, worried, and maybe they're just happy, content. But we want to know that and kind of get them used to communicating that to our adults.
Yeah, right? Definitely. If they have big emotions in the morning, then they're not going to be able to focus on what they're doing in math class or reading. And so we want to be able to help them problem solve that.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. And so that's what we've been doing. And so I want to show you a couple little things here. So first we're going to start with this. So we're going to cover ourselves up. We're hidden now. So this is fantastic. So this is in August, all of our students in the whole school, this is kind of a breakdown of what they checked in with. And so you can kind of see, the majority of our kids very happy and excited. But we had a lot of tired kids coming back to school. Imagine that. It's kind of tough getting up early in the mornings again. And that's kind kind of what you're feeling. So this is our August daily averages. And then we also have in here, we have a September one. So let's check out September. September changed a little bit. Some of our numbers went down, and I'll tell you, being on the back side of this and counting all the data and stuff, we had a lot more people checking in August, I think more than once a day. We were just learning how to do this, and so our numbers were a little bit higher. But overall, you can kind of see most of our kids coming in very happy and excited, very content, not too bad. Tired tends to be the big one that we have right there. So you're going to be getting a report that shows your individual student and how they've been doing or how they've been checking in each and every morning. And what we plan on doing is kind of doing that each and every month. And so every month you're going to get a new one of those. We wanted to hold off, though, until conferences so we could actually have that discussion with you. So that's kind of what we're looking for here. So now I have to shout out something here because we have in our audience like the creator and like producer of SRTV. So like, I'm a little nervous here. I feel like I got to spruce things up with all these like transitions and backgrounds and stuff because I feel like I'm being judged, but maybe not. So if we have all these little overlays and stuff, that's why. That's why. Impress them. Yeah, exactly, for sure. Yes. So that's our daily check-in. We're really excited about this. It's a real proactive way for us to kind of help students and then understand how they're feeling.
Yeah, and see trends. If kids are feeling sad for multiple days in a row, we can really check in on them and communicate with that to parents and
absolutely, yeah.
And make sure that everything's going okay.
Yeah. So they check in every morning. The teachers are able to see that right away. And then it just helps them. It helps them tremendously. So if you have 3 or 4 students who are very tired, you might check in and say, hey, how's it going? And they might say, I just couldn't sleep last night. I just had a hard time, or I'm worried about something. And then as a teacher, you handle that in a different situation. It's not you just not working. It's you're struggling today. And we all struggle. We all have rough days where we struggle. And so working through that, that's big.
Yeah. Definitely. It's been a great, powerful thing, I think.
Oh, it's huge. It's been very good. So I really hope that you like those reports. Like I said, we'll start sending them home monthly. This first one will come home during parent-teacher conference later this week. So that's going to be great. So switching gears now, that's our real big SEL thing that we're doing this year. We also have something that we've been doing for a long time that we're almost pros at now is Raider badges.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, Raider badges are huge. And speaking of Raider badges, let me show you this big one right here. This Raider badge right here is the secret Raider badge that students are going to earn. And you know how they earn this, Miss Cole?
How do they earn this, Mr. Meyer?
They just earn it by just checking in tonight. That's all.
Woo-hoo.
Easy enough. How easy was that? All you have to do is just watch us talk forever, and then you get a Raider badge for it. That's really cool.
Awesome.
And check out that design. How cool is that?
Way
it's
to
kind of
go.
popping.
Yeah.
There's no place like South. Got the little guy on there. That's easy, right? There you go. So Raider badges are a big program here. We give out lots of them. We just had Shark Day on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We met 1,000 Raider badges throughout the whole year, which is great. So all of our students can earn Raider badges, and they can earn them for pretty much about anything.
Oh, yeah.
And so one of the things in your take-home guide is this very cool Raider badges at-home tracker. So this can go up on your refrigerator or wherever you'd like to. It's black and white, so you can color it. So this is a great activity for you to do right now. The kids can just check it out and see which Raider badges they have. They can color them in. There's even little spots underneath for the levels. So one of the unique things about Raider badges is once you earn it, you can earn it again. You can just level up. And so if you get the Good Friend badge and you get it again, you get a Good Friend level 2. And if you just keep on going, we just keep on going too. So it's really kind of fun to see the kids earn those, get excited about those. Oh, yeah. Kind of one of the biggest things that tells me how good this thing is that kids can tell you exactly how they earned a Raider badge.
Definitely.
Right? And so that positive reinforcement is huge. So if a kid can come in and say, I got a Raider badge because I did this, that made an impact on them, and that's what we want to do. So fill out that little Raider badge sheet there. This is pretty much all of our Raider badges. You can earn a Raider badge for just about anything and everything that you do here at school.
Oh, yeah. And don't you love it when they come down to get a Raider badge?
Oh, it's great.
They're so excited. Whenever you pass a kid in the hallway who's getting a Raider badge, they're on cloud 9.
Oh, yeah, they're
skipping
so
down.
excited.
They were so excited to brag about them.
Absolutely, yeah. So we just, like I said, we keep track of those Raider badges. Our next milestone, if you hadn't have watched that video I shared out, is at 2,222 badges. So when we get to 2,222, I thought it was a fun number.
I think so.
We're going to have Wacky Waving Arm Guy Day, because who doesn't love those things?
How are you going to dress up as that?
Oh, you'll have to wait and see. You'll have to wait and see. I can't give away all my secrets quite yet. No, it's just going to be one of those things. have to find out, right? So that's exactly how it goes. So there we have it. I really do appreciate you jumping on the
thank
show
you
here
for
for us
having
here.
me.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
We have a lot of first timers. We
do,
really only have one
yes.
veteran. I've recruited a bunch of newbies to come in this time
Putting
around.
us out of our comfort zone.
Exactly. Yep. It's super easy though, because you can't even tell if people are giving you a thumbs down or
No,
anything.
or even if they're tuning in.
Yeah.
They might even just have it on in the
Oh
background.
no, you can see right here. We have lots of people. On there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
there's
hi,
lots of
everybody.
people watching you. Yes, for sure. But yeah, so it's really easy. I really do appreciate you coming on here
you.
and kind of sharing all the things that we do here at school, which is awesome, fun stuff.
Thank you.
Before you go though, we do have a giveaway.
Okay, let's do it.
We have lots of giveaways, and actually, this is going to be a two-parter here. Okay, so you're going to need your play-at-home guide. Got your play-at-home guide. Get out the TV guide. I've got a mess of stuff here. Get out the TV guide here. It's almost see-through-ish. Look at that. So you're going to get that. And what I have is I have a couple of games for you. I just love these like really wacky like family games.
Okay.
You're going to have the Unicorn Ranch game. I've never heard of that before.
Unicorn Ranch.
It sounds really fun. This is a Zebrella. I don't know
Okay.
what this is. Anyways, and then there is Slap Burger. Okay, so that one is. Look at this one. It's magical. Yep, it's. I always get a
Green screen.
I always get a green thing. So anyway, so those are our two games that we have. So I'm going to take two winners. So what you're going to look at is on the very back page here. This is about the guest stars. Okay, this has a list of all of our staff, and they were all asked to fill out a form. Did you fill out the form?
I did fill out
You did
the form.
fill out the form, yes. But guess what? I had 3 people that did not. And I always threaten them and I say, if you don't fill out the form, Mr. Meyer will fill out the form for you. And Mr. Meyer is sometimes creative.
Yes.
So your job is to look through those guest stars and find one of the 3 people that did not fill out the form on their own that Mr. Meyer did for them. And if you will respond in the chat and you were one of the first ones, then you will win one of these cool games, either the see-through Slap Burger game or the Unicorn Ranch game, one of the two. So
Look
that's how it is.
closely.
Yeah,
Look closely
so
at
look
those
very closely through
answers.
there. Yeah, there's some silly ones, and there's some silly ones that I didn't even do, which is pretty fun too. So, so you're gonna have to get on there and guess. I've got 3 people, so we'll take the first 2 that guess correct answers, and like I said, just put those in the chat. And with that, Miss Cole, you
right.
are off the hook.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for joining
First one
us.
done. Thanks,
yeah,
everybody,
absolutely,
for
very
tuning
good.
in. All right.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, well, we are going to switch things up again because we're getting out of the old Friends thing here, and we're going to put up, look at this, Gilligan's Island. This is a nice little throwback, right? Yeah, it's a good little throwback here because our next guest is our new superintendent, Mr. Andrew Farber. So, Mr. Farber, can you join us here? How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing
Nice to see
excellent.
you.
I'm excellent. Yeah, this is
Look
great.
at that.
There you are. Yeah.
Look at that.
How about that?
That brings back the mid '70s
There
for me.
you go.
How about that? You can tell.
Very good. Yeah. I'm not very far behind you, I think, unfortunately. Yeah.
Just better looking.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So we have, like I said, another newbie to our format here. You are new to the district even, so you haven't even had an opportunity to jump on to our virtual curriculum night. So tonight you get to do that.
Yeah, just excited to be here and
Absolutely.
grateful that you asked and
Yeah, for sure.
thankful
for sure.
everybody that checked in. I'm grateful for the look here sign. That's
Exactly
good. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
I tried.
I'm
tried
new.
it.
I'm
yeah,
new.
You're new.
right?
It's,
Yeah.
it's all. It's
You
all
have to
good.
look.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So, Mr. Farber, kind of, I thought would be a great opportunity. Well, first of all, you're new, so just kind of introduce yourself and put yourself out there to everybody. But then even kind of talking, we have a lot of families who this is their oldest child is at South, and so they haven't been in Sydney Public Schools for a long time. So one of the things we should talk about, I think would be good to know, is what is the job of a superintendent, or as the kids like to call you, Super Nintendo?
And some of our parents might know where
Might
that comes
know.
from.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
might
They
know.
may
Yeah.
not be old enough
If
yet.
you're cool enough to know what a
Yes.
Super Nintendo
Yes.
is, you should probably pop your favorite game. Did you ever play Super Nintendo?
I think so. I didn't play a lot of video games.
Gotcha.
as a kid.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. I see. Well, I did. I was
Nice.
just
Yeah.
that age. Yep.
Yeah.
And so Super Nintendo was
They didn't
awesome.
have.
so.
We had like abacuses.
Oh, yeah,
and
sure.
The kids know what that is.
Sure,
and
yeah,
A lot of
and-
finger counting.
Gotcha. Yep. Sure.
Yeah,
Played
so-
the sticks in the yard.
Yes,
and-
yeah,
yep,
stuff
yep,
like
yep.
that. Play in the dirt.
In,
you know,
in traffic. And,
you got it.
Sure.
You
right,
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
you
horse
know.
and buggies that
Yeah.
dodge you and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all good.
Horses and buggies. Yeah.
That's right.
No cars.
No
Yeah,
cars yet. Yeah.
Yet.
But yeah, we're getting there. Okay. So how about let's talk about what is the duty of a Super Nintendo or Superintendent? superintendent?
Yeah, so, we talked about this and really spent a lot of time thinking about that. And prior to applying to Sydney Public Schools, just wanted to reflect and think about that job. And so what I would tell you is that I've been in education. This will be my 30th year, and I've spent the last 8 at Louisville Public Schools, just south of Omaha, as a superintendent and superintendo.
Right.
And really had an opportunity to kind of define that for myself. And I would tell you, I think the first thing that you get to do as a superintendent is just work with people, work with all kinds of people, and work to provide resources and make sure that our kids and our staff and just our school family have the resources they need to be successful. So that's the funnest part of the job.
Sure.
And I think another big part of the job is I get to deal with all the money. So, and in my job, we refer to it as finances, right? And so. Part of my biggest job is just making sure that we're managing our dollars appropriately and making sure we go back to that resource piece and just making sure that we have the money we need to get what we need for our kids and our staff.
Absolutely.
And so I think the other part, and I think our parents understand this, is part of my job too is just to make sure that our school culture is in good shape and making sure that it's positive, and we're doing everything we need to do to make sure we're student-centered and maintaining that positive piece so that it's good to come to school every day for both our staff and our kids. Those are probably the big 3. And I think for me, the reason I like the job so much is you just get to meet so many different people and you get to work with so many different people. And, I've been very fortunate to come to Sydney, and I get to visit classrooms right now, and it has been so fun to visit these buildings and see what these teachers are doing and what our students are doing. And it's fun to see. We have a leader in every classroom. So whether it's a student or a teacher or just, it's a good time.
Absolutely.
It's been a neat experience so far.
Absolutely. Very good. Yeah.
So
well, and being a new superintendent, I mean, obviously you're jumping into things that are already going. And so, one of the things that you had developed was a transition plan. So how is that transition plan going for you?
It's going good. And the biggest thing for me, one of the things that our school board asked me during my interview was, what's the number one thing that you should do when you come to a new district? And for me, it's building relationships. And just truly believe that if you don't build relationships first and build what we call emotional equity, things probably aren't going to work that well down the road. And so my transition plan really focused on building relationships with staff and teachers and administrators. And part of what I've been doing is just meeting with groups individually. So I've met with all the administrators and I've met with the school board and been very fortunate to meet with all the elementary staff that wanted to come and have middle school and high school next week and paraeducators. And honestly, and this is a plug to my parents, I would like to meet with some parents down the road. So Mr. Meyer might be reaching out to you for me. And just honestly, just asking honest questions like, what makes you proud of what makes you proud to be a Raider, and defining the Raider way, and what can we do better? That's always an important question, and it's been really interesting to listen and learn about Sydney, because everybody has the same theme, and that is that we want to take care of our kids first and put them first. And we have this amazing staff, amazing administrators, and amazing kids that, quite frankly, want to be educated.
And
so it's fun. It's been a great experience, and I think my wife Leslie and I figured out we've been here for about 5 months, and honestly, every day's been an adventure. It's been a great experience.
It's a great district.
It is really fantastic.
It is crazy to think about how many people are actually involved within the school system. When you think about talking about all the different stakeholders, that's a lot of people. We have, it's not just the classroom teachers, but we have paraeducators, we have custodial staff, we have the lunch heroes that we have. I mean, everybody that has something to do with kids, and it impacts them in a meaningful way.
And it's been amazing. And actually, we're talking to all of them. And I've got board members that I'm thankful for, and just again really care about our kids. And they're joining us for every. Well, I usually get 2 or 3 that'll join us for every conversation. And I've got Tess Plummer, who's our district curriculum director, and she's been joining us as well. And so
Yep.
it's been great. It's been a good opportunity to listen and just learn and,
Yeah.
and hear all these strengths that we have as a school district.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mrs. Plummer, she dodged the bullet this year just because you're new, but next year she's probably gonna have to get on here. That's just one of those things that just has to
I
happen
took
there.
it for her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you did that. That's good. All right. Well, let's put our telescope lens on here and take a look into the future. What kind of things do you see coming down the horizon for Sydney Public Schools?
Well, I am new,
Yeah.
and I'm learning,
Yeah.
I'm learning. And so part of my goal really is to understand the foundation of this district. And just, what I'm learning is it's incredibly strong. And so I'm a firm believer if it's not broke, it doesn't need to be fixed.
Sure.
But it might need to be adjusted.
Absolutely.
Or it might need to be, I don't even want to say changed, just adapted and updated. And we've got some really strong administrators and teachers that I think are interested in making things better for our kids.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what, just looking down the road, the goal is to take what we've done and move it forward,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And I'm a firm believer, right? I'm a firm believer that, and it comes from a book that I love, and it's called Good to Great, and I can't think of the author right offhand, but in the book, he talks about how good is the enemy of great because you're constantly thinking that we're good.
Yeah.
So we don't worry about the next thing. And I'm not experiencing that here.
Yeah.
What I'm experiencing is we want to be great.
Yeah.
And so how do we do that?
Sure.
And so it's finding solutions to maybe underlying problems that we didn't know we had.
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
Does that help? That's kind
It
of
does,
it's pretty
absolutely.
vague.
Yeah, it's okay.
pretty vague,
That's
but
all right, yeah.
that they teach you that at
Kinda like you're a
superintendent school.
you're like a politician.
they
Yeah,
teach
you don't
that
say
there.
anything
That's
too
the-
specific
That's the
because-
first thing they teach you.
Yeah, right. Because this is actually going to be recorded, so this
Oh,
will be
that's
like
good.
on
Okay,
record.
yeah.
So don't put anything out
Good.
there.
Good.
So, how about biggest takeaways from being on the job for about a quarter of a school year?
Yeah, and I think first and foremost, we just have amazing people here, amazing families, amazing kids, amazing teachers, administrators, paraeducators, lunch people, maintenance. Everybody here just has a common goal, and that's to make sure things are right for our kids. Very student-centered. I think the other thing too, honestly, is that Sydney itself, and I said this, I think, to our letter home. Since my wife and I have been here, everyone is just very kind.
Yeah.
And it's it's different in Western Nebraska. And when you hear, coming from Omaha, when you hear about the kindness that people will show, and I truly believe that kindness is a strength here.
Yeah.
It's not a weakness.
Sure.
It is a strength, and our transition has just been amazing, and we've just met some amazing people, and it's just been very positive. And so I truly believe, I think, like I said in my letter home early, is this place is a gem.
Yeah.
And I've got people telling me not to say that because they don't want us to get flooded.
Sure. Yeah, right.
No guarantees. I brag about you all the time.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you.
Well, that's good. Yeah, and one of our mantras that we've had here at South is that change is the opportunity to do something amazing, and that's kind of what it is that you can fix things, you can look at things from a different view, and that's kind of what we're always looking for.
Change, it's that concept that conflict and change isn't bad. It's welcomed because it allows for us to get better.
Yeah.
And so that's how I kind of look at it, is if things get rough, that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll all work on it and figure it out together and make it better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So.
That is 100% right. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, before I let you off here, we have more. I have just made a mess of all these papers.
That's okay.
This is one of those things that you do here when you're trying to run everything. Got it.
I know.
We're going to do
glad
our.
you're in charge.
Yeah, right. Maybe.
Yeah.
We have our 2 giveaways of our, look at this, our magical. It's like you can see through it. I should let you know not to wear green, but you're okay. You're just kind of flickering a little
gray,
bit.
yeah,
You're kind of
I'm gray.
flickering a little bit. Yeah. So we have a couple of winners. We have Darla Brower winning one of these little games, and then Michaela Newhalfen is also winning one of these games. So there we have our 2 winners from our first giveaway, which is pretty fun there. Now we're going to give away something else. And so this one we're going to give away, I don't know if you've ever heard of this game, Goat Lords.
Can't say I have.
Well,
remember,
it was.
I played in the dirt as a kid.
That's true. Yeah.
We didn't
So
have
these are
games.
new to you. Yeah. So
Tic-tac-toe in the dirt.
That's true. Yeah. This is the GOAT Game of the Year back in 2016.
Nice.
Yeah. So if
Okay.
you remember what you're doing back in 2016, this was all the rage apparently.
Okay.
So 2 to 6 players, ages 7 and up. And so here's our question that we're going to do here. So out of all of the TV shows, I don't think you even saw this. So we have So I had a little help from AI, and it came up with some nice little show plots, and we have all of our guest stars there. Yeah, and so Mr. Farber, you get to be on here. So we have Thunder. Do you remember Thundercats?
I do.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I love Thundercats.
Yeah.
It's my favorite show. We have Full House, Saved by the Bell, which that's where you're going to be at there. Yeah, so that's your guest starring in a Saved by the Bell episode. Do you remember that show?
I do.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, you're going to be the strict but aloof president.
Okay, fair enough.
Not president, principal.
Principal. Yeah. I did that too. I did that for about 14 years.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So anyways, if you look through all of our shows, we have about 8 of them. Only one of those shows was actually on TGIF's lineup. So a long time ago, back in the 80s, and they revamped it in the 2000s, but they would have TGIF on Fridays, right? You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and all the cool shows, you'd watch those shows. Well, only one of these shows that I had in here was actually on that lineup. If you can be the first person to guess that, put that in the chat, you can win Goat Lords, the GOAT Game of the Year back in 2016.
Love it.
So it's like it's almost retro.
Yeah, pretty close.
Here's the
you
thing.
said 2016.
Yeah,
you didn't say the
2016.
late 1990s.
No, I did not.
Okay,
No. Here's the thing about retro stuff. This is what I'm kind of getting bummed out about, and I was making fun of you for being old. But I also feel that way because now you go out to buy like retro TV shirts, T-shirts and stuff, and it's like all this stuff that was there's like after me. Like I didn't even watch that stuff. That's like the first realization that you're old.
I think
it's like the cartoons that you watched are no longer retro. They're like super retro. I don't know.
Well, and I like rock, like Kiss and all these, and now you hear it in the elevator.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
And it's embarrassing.
And
you're humming to the song.
Like this is awesome, but it's like
the first graders have no idea.
No, they don't. But maybe the parents do.
They might.
Yeah, we're narrowing our audience. I think is what we're doing.
Yeah, I think that's probably what happened.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're talking to 3 of you out there right now. But
maybe they're grandparents.
Maybe they are. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Farber.
Yes,
I appreciate
sir.
you jumping
Thank
on
you.
with us. Yep, absolutely.
All right.
And you can go on out of here. You're free to go. I'm letting staff wear jeans tomorrow, so you can feel free to wear jeans tomorrow for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you.
All right.
Anytime.
Yeah, all right. There you go. Very good. So, all right, we're going to take off Gilligan's Island, and we're going to bring up, look at this, The Office. If you've ever watched that show, I'm going to scoot over here because we have 2 guests that are coming on here to the show right now. We have our only veteran to virtual curriculum night.
That's me.
Mrs. Schneider, our instructional coach. And we have a new person to the virtual curriculum night format, Mrs. Emily Zorn, who's our title teacher.
Hello.
Was a second grade teacher last year, shifted a little bit. Now she's doing title. So that's what we're going to have. Thanks, ladies, for joining us.
Yeah.
We're going to shift. We talked social emotional learning stuff, PBIS stuff. We backed it up. We did big district stuff. Now we're going to narrow it back down. We're going to talk about reading, right?
Let's do it.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
our favorite.
exactly
Yes.
right. Yes. All right. So first we're going to talk about, because I like to kind of mix this up a little bit because we have some parents that watch this show probably for 3-4 years now. And so we're going to put some new stuff out there so we're not just saying the same stuff over and over again. So not going to talk specifically about our assessments. That kind of already went home. I had a video that shared with you, so hopefully you've watched that to kind of read those graphs and things. But we're going to talk about some of the behind the scenes stuff. So one of the first things is why do we assess so often? Mrs. Schneider, why do we do that?
Well, first of all, we give multiple assessments because they all provide us with different information. Like the MAP assessment, it provides us kind of with grade level standards and concepts taught throughout the year, and in math and reading. And then the Acadians assessment, it's like a focused in look on students where they're at in the process of actually learning to read words.
Yeah.
So we do give multiple assessments, and then we also give them multiple times a year.
We do.
Yeah.
How many times do we give them?
3 times a year,
times, yep.
fall, winter, and spring.
Yep.
And the fall assessment, that gives us like baseline data, shows us where the students are at coming in, so we can set goals and help students meet their learning goals and meet their needs as educators.
And that's one of the reasons why we do 3 times.
Yeah.
Because we want to set those goals, but we don't want to wait until the end of the year and then find out, oh man, we didn't make it. We were off track. No, we want to get that. So that middle testing period, that winter time is perfect to kind of get an idea of, are we on track for this goal?
Just kind
Do
of
we
a
need to
check-in.
shift things up? Or do we need to amp it up because this kid's blowing it out of the water? And we have that happen a lot.
Exactly.
Which is all good stuff. So absolutely, yeah. And goals are huge for us here. We push it with the students as well too, because the students should understand that, the assessments that they're doing is really a reflection of their learning, and that's kind of what we want to take that information for. So we have that information.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
We do those 3 tests. Occasionally we have a student who might be performing below grade level. What extra do we do to make sure that we're going to make it there?
Well, for those students, we want to monitor their progress really closely.
Yeah.
We can't wait like half a year to make sure they're making appropriate gains.
Yep.
And we need to provide like intervention and supports straight off the bat. Mrs. Soren helps us with that. It could be, the supports could be like in the form of the teacher just providing extra instruction, or a para, more specialized support from Mrs. Zorn, or more intensive with Mrs. May. She also provides supports for us. But for those students too, we monitor their progress weekly.
Oh, yeah.
And then most of our students respond well to the interventions, and we keep them going. If not, we have a multi-tiered system
Of support. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
system.
MTSS,
Our
that's just what I was
MTSS
going to talk about.
I was going to
Yeah.
try to pull out that acronym for you. Sorry, guys.
You're good.
The MTSS team, we meet every 4 to 6 weeks.
Yep.
And just kind of problem solve. If there are students that aren't making, adequate growth, then everybody comes together, pulls together ideas, and we find different avenues to help
Yeah,
those students.
and that's one of the big things with like the culture in Sydney Public Schools all in general, is it's not a wait and see, it's a let's figure this out.
Yeah.
Let's change it now. If we can change it now. And we're really on top of that data. And I'll tell you, this is like one of the things that we really focus on our Fridays, our Friday time that we spend a lot of time doing work within our grade levels. And those teachers do. That's exactly what they do, is they look at data, they make adjustments to their instruction, they make sure students are on track to meet the goals that they're going for. And so there's just a lot of that extra work that happens in the background that, a student might be struggling, but they're not doing it on their own. We're going to help them. We're going to provide them the support for that, which is huge. So let's talk a little bit about, and something that we've been delving into as a staff, is something called the science of reading. And so, there is a science to it. There's brain work. It's kind of been explained. So, Mrs. Zwern, can you tell us just a little overview of that kind of science of reading? What's that about?
Sure. So the science of reading is a really vast body of research that kind of shows the best way to teach reading and how students are processing that in their brain, which areas of the brain are activated during reading, so that we can kind of pinpoint the best way to teach them. I'm sure lots of us grew up in the whole language movement, and I will not bring up reading wars, I promise. But that is one thing that the science, the research of reading talks about, that we don't learn whole language, we learn letter strings in a process of orthographic mapping. So the best thing about science of reading is that it gives us those processes to teach our students the best way to remember those little letter strings and connect it with that meaning, so that it's in their brain forever. So no more memorizing words, no more spelling
let's get them
tests.
out of it. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's more of an application kind of process, and we kind of teach them that process, which is nice. Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
For sure. Yep. So, talking about how we can help our child improve or grow throughout the year, like what are some things that we can do that you can help at home, or if there is a reading plan, what are kind of some great things that we can kind of touch on?
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of different things. Number one is reading with your kids, reading to your kids, let them read to you, point out those, vocab words that you see within that text that you might not even realize your student doesn't actually know.
Yeah.
So point out those meanings. They need all of that in their word bank, so that they can, once they see those letter strings, connect it to their meaning, and it stays in their sight word vocabulary forever.
Yeah.
So read to your kids, read with your kids.
Yeah.
I agree. And
what
reading
else?
with your kids, it's just a time for you guys to bond and share some enjoyable time together. There's also, the state has on the Nebraska Department of Education, on their website, if you want specific activities you can do with your kids. We'll share that link on Dojo tomorrow.
Yeah, that sounds
There's
great.
a
Yep,
link, and
that
it
sounds
has if you want phonemic awareness activities, phonics activities, vocabulary, comprehension, that has videos and things for support for parents.
Absolutely, yeah. So
all
look
kinds
for
of
that
ideas,
post.
too.
Yeah, look for that post. There's some good things out there.
Yeah.
One of the big things that we talk about, like phonemic awareness. How is that different than reading? So we talk about phonemic awareness. Is that reading? No, it's something different. What is that?
So those are the building blocks to being able to read. So connecting those sounds to the letter. Kids need to be able to hear the sounds in a word to be able to read and put it together.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
Yeah,
to connect
absolutely.
it to the letters.
Yeah, and that's just kind of what we talked about, is not that whole word we don't just memorize. We have to
Yep.
really manipulate those sounds and have that piece to it. You know, that's like those building blocks, and that's a
Yeah.
good strong base.
Yep.
And that we really focus on that stuff in first grade and even into second grade too. And we'll talk a little bit later on when we talk a little bit about specifically our second grade and first grade differences with Mrs. Brower later on. But yeah, that's kind of the building blocks for it.
Yep.
You know, that's so if you were to compare it to math, it'd be the numbers part. You have to know numbers to be able to do math. You have to be able to manipulate sounds and hear those sounds, or those which are called phonemes,
Yep.
Yeah.
and have that down. So that's exactly what we work on. Yeah,
Yeah,
It's excellent
definitely
stuff.
that
Yeah.
phoneme grapheme
Yeah.
connection. So the sound to letter connection, that's your foundation
Absolutely,
for sure.
yeah,
Those
absolutely.
phonemes
Absolutely.
are already stored like through spoken language, and in order for students to like store words in memory, they have to connect that grapheme or the letter
Absolutely.
with that phoneme that's already stored, and we
Well,
have
we
to help
could
them dissect.
talk about reading forever.
Yeah,
I tell you what,
we
these
could
two
Don't get us
all
started.
the time. Let's talk about reading. But now let's talk a little bit. So we did discuss just a little bit about the Acadians and the maps and how those are a little bit different. And so Acadians is kind of that skill set of reading, right? And maps is kind of like putting it all together, like
Yeah.
comprehending what you're reading, being able to work with it that way. So kind of talking a little bit about how South did. So I'm a big data guy. I just have tons and tons of data. So if we're looking at maps, so talking about our kids last year and some of the achievements that they had, starting with reading, our students at MAPS started about the 56th, 53rd percentile for both grade levels. It's kind of where they started at. We finished last year at the 70th percentile in first grade, at the 84th percentile in second grade, which is tremendous. And so remember that MAPS, we've talked about this in years past, but MAP is a nationally normed test, which means people all over the nation take this. And so when you're talking percentiles, we're not talking just Sydney kids, we're talking kids across the nation. And so being able to jump up that high in percentiles is huge, right? That's a lot of growth. And so one of the big things is students who meet their growth projections or their goals. And so last year we had in first grade, 59% of our students meet their goals in first grade, and 84% in second grade met their goals, which is huge. So a lot of really good things there. Switching over to math, both grade levels started about the 65th percentile, which is pretty good. In first grade, they got up to the 76th percentile. In second grade, they got to the 93rd percentile, which is tremendous, tremendous growth. Looking at percentage of students who met their growth, 62% of our first graders met growth, 90% of second graders met growth. And so that's definitely telling you right now, our things that we have in place are going to teach your child exactly what they need to know and do. So it's just one of those things that we just keep at it.
Awesome
and
foundation.
Absolutely awesome foundation, and great support from parents like you that are tuning in here, that want to engage, that want to learn more. You know, that's how we're going to help that kiddo in your living room right now, or wherever you're watching this, grow to their fullest potential, which is awesome. So,
Yep, absolutely.
so let's do something fun, right? So kids, you guys all do this. You do this all the time, where you have to do our Acadians, right? You have to read a passage. This is called oral reading fluency. And so what we're testing in oral reading fluency is how fast and how accurate you can read a passage. So in your Play at Home guide, you have an Acadians progress monitoring sheet here with a story on it. And what you're going to do is this. You're going to give this. So kids right now, pick one of your parents, and they're going to read this. And now I'm going to cut it a little easy on them. We're not going to do it for a full minute. You're going to do it for 30 seconds. And so parents, don't cheat. Don't start looking it over now. It's supposed to be a new paragraph here for you. But when we say go, you have 30 seconds. You're going to read as fast as you can and as accurate as you can. And then you're going to go until we say stop. Okay? So parents, kids, did you pick out who's going to do it? I hope you did, because we're going to be ready to go here. All right. You're going to say, when I say go, you're going to start reading as fast and accurate as you can. You have 30 seconds to see how far you can go. All right. You don't have to read the title. Skip down to that first line. All right. Chester's Cookie Caper, a Crazy Cat's Culinary Quest. Go. All right. 30 seconds.
Got 'em going.
30 seconds is going. Here we go. All right. Make sure you watch them, kids. And if they're making any errors, you got to point those things out, just like it happens with you guys, right? So you got to keep track of all that stuff so they can keep going.
Gotta be accurate.
Yeah, got to be accurate. You're halfway there, parents. Keep
Yep.
going. You got
Keep
15
going.
more seconds. Keep going. Hopefully I'm distracting them enough to really make them kind of mess up a little bit, right? We just keep talking about there. Boy, it's crazy. A lot of the same
seconds.
sounds in there. All right, 5 seconds. Here you go. Push through. You got it. You got it. Keep going.
2, 1.
All right,
and
stop. All right, stop. Very good. All right, so put your finger where you had it at. And if you look over to the right there, that's the kind of numbers that kind of tells you how many numbers you read. If we're talking about, usually we do this in a minute. So if you multiply that by 2, that's your reading right there. And then you'd have to subtract for how many errors you had. Now, I do have to admit, this is not a typical oral reading fluency passage. We don't have them tricky, full of alliteration and rhyming, and like now that was not the case at all. But it was hopefully kind of funny for you to do that, and maybe, I don't know, if you were one of the parents, probably got a little stressed with that, right? But that's good to feel that, because some of our kids feel that way too. I mean, it's kind of an intense thing, and so we do get a little stressed out when we get assessed on our speed and our accuracy, and so it's good to feel that a little bit. See what your kids are kind of feeling like when they do things. So hopefully you had fun with that one, and kids, that was kind of a funny story. Have them read that whole thing to you if they didn't get all the way through that, because that's a great one. All right, before we go, we have some giveaways to do again here. We have one more giveaway here as I shuffle through all of my junk here. All right, our second prize was won by Ashley Onken. Ashley Onken, you guys are the winner of Goat Lords, Goat Game of the Year 2016. Big time there. Okay, all right, so the next giveaway I've got, I'm going bigger and bigger each time, right? So here we go. This one we're giving away is Poetry for Neanderthals. I thought that's perfect for talking about reading. So we have Poetry for Neanderthals. This was not a Game of the Year in 2016, but it does have an inflatable, like little whacking thing. So club.
Awesome. Club.
Words are hard, right? Okay, here we go. All right, so out of all the shows, we have 8 shows, and so I had staff members. They all had to vote for which ones they wanted, which ones were their favorite shows, and that's kind of how I decided which ones they were going to guest star in. So what your job is at home is you have to make a guess. Out of all 8 of those shows, which one was guessed as the favorite? Okay, so out of all 8 shows, which one was guessed as the favorite? We'll take the first guess that's correct. And I just now realized I'm not telling the answers to our other stuff. That was silly of me, wasn't it? Yeah, I always miss something. I've always missed something. At least I got the backgrounds. Yep. So as we sit here, I'm going to keep you on the air here for just a little bit longer. Yeah, which is where we're at.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys do. You love it. So our first question, remember we said what were the 3 people that did not fill out the form? It was Mr. Mike, it was Mrs. Arndt, and it was Mrs. Craig. So there were 3 people did not heed my warning. Yes, Mrs. Craig does actually know where raisins come from. I thought that was just a hilarious thing that doesn't think they come from cherries. It was just one of those that you think a little bit more each time. Yeah. Anyways, and then our second one, which show was actually in the TGIA Friday lineups? Do you guys know which one it was?
I sure don't. Sorry about that.
Oh, so close. Not Saved by the Bell. It was Full House. Full House.
Yeah.
Saved by the Bell was always
sense.
on like after school and stuff. And always the cartoons and stuff. But yeah, Full House was the only show that was actually on TGIF back there in the day. Did you guys watch that? Did you ever?
I did. Yes.
Yeah.
I may or may not have met those characters at the mall when
really?
I was a child.
Really?
Real.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's so much.
cool.
That's
Big time.
crazy. Shit.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that. No wonder the camera's so friendly to you. Like you just have the knowledge
Basically
of it, I guess.
famous.
All right, very good. So thank you, ladies, for jumping on with us today, talking about reading. You guys are all good to go. Thank you very
Thank
much for
you,
joining
Mr.
us.
Yes.
Absolutely. Very good. All right. So we're going to cut away from The Office, and we're going to come back with a familiar little spot here. Mrs. Brower also enjoying the show Friends.
It's a good show.
Yeah, I just never really got into it.
Disappointed you've never watched it.
I know, right? Yeah. Watched a lot of The Office. I love The Office.
Oh, I do like The Office too.
Right, yeah.
But Friends is a good background
Yeah.
all the time show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I
Yeah.
was just too serious into it then, I guess. All right. All right, Mrs. Brower.
All right.
We are going to talk. So we've had, you're another new person to the virtual curriculum night show here. Yep. I've had first grade teachers the last couple of years. And so now we have a second grade teacher, which is great.
Perfect.
And so what more appropriate thing to talk about than what's the difference between our first graders and our second graders? Because there kind of is a lot.
There really is.
Yeah, there is. So what's the biggest difference?
So I would say the biggest thing is thinking that there's so many foundational skills we learn in kindergarten and first grade, and there's a lot of support and a lot of teacher help, but second grade is kind of a transitional year. So we're kind of backing off of that teacher help and really starting to ask kids to independently start using all those skills that they've been taught. So
And that's not even like a local decision that we've made.
Correct.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
even when you talk about our MAP testing that we have. In kindergarten and first grade, that test is read to them, answers are read to them.
Right.
And so that support is still there. Second grade is when they kind of shut that off, and kids have to read it on their own, and they have to process all that stuff on their own. And that's a big wake-up call.
Yeah. And a
when
little
we take
scary.
that. It is, absolutely, because now it's all of a sudden, wow, I have to do that, and the stamina. Can you talk
Correct.
a little bit about the stamina and how we have to build that in second grade?
Yeah, it's a lot. So when we think about, a little 8-year-old body and all the things that they're going to have to be able to do, and so we're asking them to read independently all by themselves, which also means I'm going to have to decode all those words and segment things where I need to, but then I'm going to have to find all the comprehension questions, and so it's a lot more than just, hey, read a text for me.
Yeah.
Same with math, too.
Right.
It's, applying all those foundational skills, and so the stamina really, it's a lot of grit, and can I keep going and push myself to get to the end.
Yeah, so that first quarter is just so hard because it's a big wake-up call. And when
really
we
is.
take our MAPS test in the fall pretty early,
Yeah.
And that's a big thing for them. It's a big transition. It's a big change for them. But I just shared with you kind of what our MAPS results were last year and our second graders last year that were the same way as our kiddos this year. You know, they struggled at the beginning. It was tough. It was hard to realize, wow, I got to do this all on my own. Not completely on our own, but
Correct.
with far less supports that
Yeah.
we used to have and those comforts.
Yep.
But we got there.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had some huge success stories, so many of them, really, with kids who it just clicked and it just kind of took off. And so that's a huge thing for us. And so, that independence is definitely one of those things.
Huge.
And balancing that support,
Right.
not to kind of enable, but to kind of push them out of their comfort zone a little
Correct.
bit and have that grit, that growth mindset.
Yep.
Something we really want to push here.
Yeah.
Yeah, if only you could.
Absolutely.
Oh, you can earn a Raider badge for growth mindset.
You sure
How about
can.
that? Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about what a day in the life of a South student would kind of look like. What's something that, and it's kind of the same for first and second grade as far as subjects go. So what's a day look like for them?
So in second grade, we start with kind of a soft start. To come in, little morning work, kind of just hanging out, get to see everybody.
Our daily check-in.
Yeah, check in, all that good stuff.
Yep.
And then in second grade, we start with win right away, which is great because we get to just move and groove right away. And then we go to recess, and then we come back in and we finish reading with some content slides, which gets into the little bigger, meatier pieces of reading. And then we go to specials and lunch, and then we come back and have writing and math and science and social studies and wrap up our day. It's kind of
fast
in
and
and
furious.
out.
Yeah, it's fast and furious, but we definitely do
It
that.
is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And during that win time, that's kind of when we really do that reading instruction.
Yep,
So when we talk about the
absolutely.
science of reading and how we instruct students on how to read, that happens during that win time.
Absolutely. Yep.
And win is called What I Need.
Yep.
Time. That's what that is, and we really focus on that phonics, repeated readings,
Correct.
those sorts of things that we really kind of attack those words
Yep,
with.
absolutely.
Yeah. And then during that reading time, we kind of shift a little bit, and we kind of want to think about what we're reading.
Correct.
And kind of be able to answer questions. And,
And we pull a little more of that phonemic awareness into that side of it as well with our comprehension during that reading slide
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah. And our first graders have days that are very similar to that. I mean, we cover all the same very subjects. They have win in first grade as well too. We cover our reading, and we have our math and our science and our social studies. We blend some art in there. Our specials that we have.
Yep.
Lots of different kind of opportunities for them to kind of really advance and push themselves. And one of the things that's kind of changed, especially when I was a kid, is how we instruct our students. So much more with small groups. And can you kind of talk
Absolutely.
about what's the benefit of doing those small groups for kids?
Yeah, from a teacher standpoint, I get to really know my kids in and out and how they're truly progressing and what specific gaps they may have. So I like to think of kids as buckets. And so those holes that they have, when you pour water in the top, it just runs right out the bottom. So I know exactly what hole I'm going to patch and what skills that they need. So those small group instruction really let me tailor that instruction individually based on that kid to the grade level content, but then where they're at.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just so much more movement. We transition groups, we spin around, we go to an independent, we go to a para, we go to a teacher, and it's just a lot of kind of moving. So we're not staying stagnant. We're not just sitting in those chairs, because I don't know if you've ever sat in a school chair. They're not the most comfortable thing. I don't think anybody has any at home that you're lounging on right now. You're probably sitting on something a little bit more soft and cushiony. So kind of moving those kids around and being able to kind of learn in different spaces and places.
Yeah, and then they're getting to apply all those skills independently. So now we're pushing in that independence piece too, that they're getting to practice those things on their own.
Absolutely, yeah. And one of our, so in math, math, we talk about Zern math because that's the curriculum that we have currently.
Yeah.
And let's just talk about, let's kind of shifting a little bit as we talk about those small group times. We do spend some time on iPads doing some digital content. And so what's that look like in Zern?
So in Zern, it kind of is, I don't want to say it's quite a video game, but it kind of is mimicked in that way. But what's nice is, so the lesson that I teach is also the lesson that's taught on Zern. So even if a kiddo may not have got the concept when I taught it, they'll get it again during Zern and the digital piece. And so then, or vice versa. So they're getting all that extra reinforcement to practice that in a small group and then independently.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So they're getting kind of a double dose of that teaching.
Yeah.
And it can be taught kind of very similar, maybe a little bit different. You know, your wording and the wording on the video that they follow along with, it could be a little different. And so that's kind of trying to, you know, engage as many learners as we can.
Absolutely.
Some are great with that hands-on. Some are great with just like, you know, getting that consumption through a video or an iPad or those sorts of things. And frankly, that's kind of one of the things that we have to have our students be able to use. I mean, we have to be able to manipulate and understand knowledge and information in a digital format.
Yep,
It's just the
absolutely.
day and age that we live right now. And so kind of teaching them how to do that is very important. So yeah, Zern is a great way of doing that.
Yeah.
And we also have another program we use called Freckle.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Freckle. What is Freckle?
So Freckle is a program that we use. We can use it to kind of help support students or remediate kids who are struggling, and then we can also use it to push our kids who need a push in a direction for some higher acceleration. But what's really great about Freckle is for kiddos, they get to create a character and change his clothes and dress them all up and change backgrounds, and so it's super fun. They get to earn coins and time to play around in that area, but they have to earn it through different either math or reading. And what's nice as a teacher is I can set those based on where those kiddos are at, and then we set them based on maps too. So kiddos who are ready to really get some push in a direction, we can push them that direction, and then we can also fill some gaps for kiddos who need more support.
Yeah,
so
it's crazy. So like last year we had some second graders that were working in 5th, 6th grade standards.
Yeah.
I mean, getting into some kind of complex
They
math.
were,
Which is a great way of kind of really pushing our kids who are ready for that. You know, and what's crazy is that they might be ready for that in one subject of math or reading or wherever it happens to be,
just
but
one
maybe not in
content area.
everything. And this is a way to get that. You know, and so we're teaching them, you know, our standards every single day in the classroom, but we're able to kind of also push or just like you said, remediate. So if a student is a little behind, we can kind of adjust, and they'll be maybe working on some standards that are below grade level to kind of fill in those gaps and help them get that stuff that they need. And so that's kind of our big kind of overarching umbrella. And we don't just have kids on it, just to have kids on it.
Correct.
You know, we interact with that as well too.
Yeah.
And our pairs are fantastic with this. And so they are a huge ally to our teachers and to our students. And so they actually get on that Freckle, and they'll see if a student has an intervention. And that's if they've struggled at a concept long enough that it gets flagged in Freckle. There's ways that Freckle will kind of reteach, just like it does in Zern. It'll give you some videos that they can show and kind of test it out. But then our parents can then interact with them. And so they can pull up some examples and say, hey, let's work through this together. You know, and so it's been kind of fun because, you do get into you get into 6th, 7th grade standards of math. It's like, whoa,
sometimes
I haven't used that in a long time.
Stop and think about that one for a second.
So it's kind of fun to get those kids into that.
It is,
And that's a direct correlation to our MAP scores because our kids are not afraid to attack hard stuff.
Absolutely. And it really helps them prepare just to take the test. Kind of how the process works and how to find an answer that I'm not sure of.
Absolutely,
and just the self-confidence.
So instead of
It
looking
really
at
helps.
something and thinking, oh, I can't do this, they attack it.
Yep.
And they have no fear. And
Absolutely.
It's great. And so it's one of those big things. I'll tell you just a really quick story, kind of a success story of one of things what Freckle has done for us is we had a student taking maps, and they were stuck on question 3 for a long time. So long that it actually kicked them out of their map testing. And I was like, holy cow, this kid's not working. And so I walk in there after I started him up again, and I was like, hey, are you struggling? What's going on here? And he says, well, I don't know exactly how to do this, but I'm working backwards from all the answers, and I've done these 3, and I'm working on this one now. And it was like, holy cow,
look
this
at
kid,
that.
he's working for 20 minutes on this problem, not giving up, not frustrated, and just working backwards because
Look at him.
he's got those skills,
That's awesome.
and is not afraid to. So that's the kind of stuff that we really want.
Great.
And when we're talking about parents, you guys at home wanting to help out your child, whether they're high, whether they're low, whether they're right on grade level, wherever that happens to be, if you want to give them extra support, Freckle is a fantastic way for
Absolutely.
that.
Freckle is great. And they're already loaded in, so they can just log in at home. Clever Badge just head to play.
Yep.
And what's really nice too is then like we can set stuff. So if I've set something, they can still play that at home.
Yep.
It's still on there.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. They can really push themselves, which is so fun.
can.
And that's going to give them because we do
Yeah.
take our map scores and we upload them into Freckle, and so it's going to give them a path that is right where
Yep.
they are.
a little
So if
hard.
they are hard, ready for those challenging
Yep.
things, they can get into that and kind of push themselves and get a little head start on the next
Yeah.
year and kind of jump in there. So
Yep.
that's huge, right?
Yeah,
that's what we
it's
love.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
the good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mrs. Brower, thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
that's been really great there.
absolutely. No worries.
Yeah, so I'm not going to let you go yet.
Oh, okay.
Because
Sorry.
we have kind of our final little wrap up of things that we're going to be doing here. So, so let's see here. We gave away another prize here. Alyssa Moore. Alyssa Moore is our winner of Poetry
Nice.
for Neanderthals.
Looks fun.
Yeah, isn't that kind of fun? Yeah.
I know.
don't know.
Why
It's
not?
got a cool thing.
I feel like
yeah.
it could be a little dangerous, maybe.
Maybe, I
Not
don't
out of
know.
control?
It's inflatable.
Family. Okay.
It's
So, you know.
inflatable. It's all nice. It's all good. Yeah. So I've got a couple other things here. So just a reminder here. Let's throw this back up again. Our Raider badge, right?
yeah.
So if you did jump in late, make sure that you pop in there and say, "Hey, I'm here." So that way we can get your child a Raider badge. Now, if you're watching this recorded, if you had something going on tonight and you're watching the recorded version, same thing. Just shoot me a message on Class Dojo, and I'd be happy to give your kid a Raider badge for your engagement. That's awesome. So that's all really, really good stuff there. I appreciate that. I've got 2 other little giveaways, and then we'll just kind of wrap this show up. Man, we
good.
did a really good job here today. We
Nice.
kind of kept this under. I had us going to maybe 7. It looks like we're going to be done a little early. Check this game out. Throw Burrito. It's a dodgeball
quite the
card
game.
game, but it's the extreme outdoor edition.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like look at these giant. These are like literally the size.
they
They're like giant
really
inflatable.
are.
Yeah, huge,
Some parents are going to
Huge.
be stoked for that.
huge inflatable burritos that you throw at each other. Let me read a little bit more on this. 120 water resistant. These are like pool things too. Jumbo size playing cards. This is awesome. I love like giant board
Giant
games.
games.
I don't know what it is. I think that's like
Doesn't
the
show.
coolest thing ever. I don't know why. I think if you should play a board game, it should be giant.
Giant.
Yes, and
Well,
so
you know.
that's what it is. Here, so we have giant. Look at that. So giant. This is
not?
it. So if
Looks
you
fun.
shared out a picture of your virtual curriculum night, selfie, whatever it happens to be, you throw that out on social media. I'm going to random draw one of those people. So if you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, make sure you tag Sydney Raider so I can find you, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll randomly draw somebody to win Throw Burrito Extreme Outdoor Edition. I think that's how you're supposed to read that, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And then guess what?
Yeah.
If we didn't go big enough, let's go even bigger. Oh, we even a
my
little
goodness.
see-through-ish. We got a little too much green on that one. I always do. Giant edition of Sorry. Look at
Wow.
like this. You can't see
huge.
it. You can't.
Okay.
It's like it's invisible. But trust me, it's there. It fills up that whole entire thing. So if you've ever played Sorry before,
Yeah.
here it is in the
intense.
giant size. It's a 64 by 64 inch game board. That's huge, right?
that
Did you ever
is.
play Sorry?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, very
Yes,
good.
it's
Yeah, so
true.
it's it's like a classic game, right?
is. It is a good
But with a giant twist. Look at
you
that,
go.
giant twist. Okay, so what we're
Nice.
going to do is everybody who did put something in the chat and you won your student a Raider badge, I'm going to random draw for one of these too. So
Nice.
we'll be sending those
That'll be
home
fun.
there. Yes, it would be really cool
Parents
if I
are
could
so
pull
lucky.
even a bigger game out right now.
Yeah.
But I'm out of big games. Sorry.
Dang it.
That's all I've got. I have one more. I had just one giant thing. I
Yeah.
can't do that. No. All right. Thank you, Mrs. Brower, for joining
absolutely.
us.
Thanks for
it wasn't
having
even that
me.
bad, was it?
No,
Nope,
it really wasn't.
I had all
Yeah.
my teachers in
Yeah,
such a
Central
tizzy
Park
today.
is a good place to be.
It is,
So,
yeah, it is a good
yeah.
place to be. Well, we're going to take
Thanks.
that off. Yep, you bet. We're going to take that off here as soon as I find the spot. All right, very good. Back to There's No Place Like South. All right. That's it. Boy, we got through a lot today. I threw a lot of information at you. Hopefully had a little bit of fun as well, too. I really appreciate all of you guys joining us, watching and interacting at home. I appreciate it so very, very much. It's parents like you that make this school, this district, such a great place. And so it's fantastic to have all of our new people on here and even our one veteran, Mrs. Schneider, to join us again, too. I don't know if I'll get her a 4th year in a row, but we'll see. We'll try. We'll work on her starting on now. So that's all we have for you tonight. Hey, I got done a little early for you. Look at that. So you can have your evening. I really do appreciate you guys coming here. I'm going to leave the stream up for just a few minutes before I shut it off. So if you haven't got a chance to put your name in there, please do put your name in there. We'll do those random draws. I'll announce on Class Dojo tomorrow who those winners were. We have parent-teacher conferences coming up Wednesday and Thursday night. So we'll love to see everybody come in for that. No school on Friday. Remember, we no school for anybody in Sydney Public Schools on Friday. So that's a day off for everybody. So yeah, really appreciate all the support. Really look forward to that. Daily check-in reports are going to be coming home for report cards, and then we'll get those out monthly after that. And that's just kind of all we have. So I really do appreciate it, everybody. Have a great rest of the night, and thank you so much for joining us.